Hello everyone and welcome. In this video, we will dive into the various types of government assistance that is available for the first home buyers in Australia. In this video, I will talk about First Home Guarantee Scheme. This allows you to purchase your first home with just 5% deposit. We will also talk about Stamp Duty Exemption Scheme, the grant for first home buyers, and single parents being able to buy a home with just 2% deposit even when they are not the first home buyers. We will also talk about the First Home Super Saver Scheme. And finally, we will talk about how much money do you need to buy your first home in Australia. I am 𝗙𝗵𝗃𝗘𝗘 from 𝗙𝗵𝗃𝗘𝗘 and I am a strong advocate of home ownership, and I'm absolutely passionate about empowering home buyers through knowledge and clear information. This video will give you essential knowledge about government assistance that is available for the first home buyers. And at the end of this video, you will also get a complete guide of government grants and schemes that are available for first home buyers in different states and territories of Australia. Plus, after the video, you will also get the link to a free first home buyer course that is normally valued at $1,499. This simple yet comprehensive course will take you through the step-by-step instructions of your journey to owning your first home in Australia. Now, because eligibility and level of benefits vary from state to state and even metro to regional areas in some states, so in this video, I will focus on the grants and schemes available for New South Wales and for Sydney only. But my cheat sheets would have thresholds and limits for all the states, and I will be making videos for all the states as well. So do watch my socials for those announcements. Now, before we go any further, first a disclaimer. Today's video is general in nature. This is not a professional advice. So before taking any financial decision, please seek professional advice and get a full assessment done. Now, let's get started. But first things first, although different grants and schemes have different eligibility criteria, there are some conditions that apply to most of these grants and schemes. These are that you must be an Australian citizen or permanent resident. You should be over 18 years of age and a first home buyer, meaning you must not have owned a property in Australia in the past. Now, there are some cases where you may be eligible if you have not owned a property in the last 10 years. And the house that you are buying must become your primary place of residence. Now, because the grants and schemes that we are talking about today are not for investment properties, another thing to keep in mind is that you may be eligible for one of these grants or schemes, and you may be eligible for all. However, remember that if you are not eligible for one, it does not mean that you will not be eligible for others, and vice versa. That means that if you qualify for one, it does not automatically mean that you will be eligible for all others as well. Now, the first benefit that I will talk about is buying a home with only 5% deposit and taking 95% loan without paying LMI. So basically, no LMI on 95% LVR. This is covered under the government scheme called First Home Guarantee Scheme. Now, to understand this scheme better, let me quickly explain LVR and LMI. LVR stands for Loan to Value Ratio. The formula for this is the loan amount divided by the value of the property multiplied by 100. For example, if you are buying a property worth $500,000 and you are contributing $100,000 as a deposit and your loan amount is $400,000, then it is 80% LVR. Now, most lenders would lend you maximum 80% on most standard residential properties. And if you need to borrow more than 80%, and you do not qualify for a government or lender scheme, then you need to pay LMI, that is Lender's Mortgage Insurance. Now, the cost of the LMI is based on the loan amount and LVR. The lesser the deposit, the higher the cost of LMI. You can pay LMI upfront or you can add it to your loan amount. But bear in mind that this insurance provides protection to lender only and not to you as the borrower. But say you are eligible for the first home guarantee scheme. Then you can buy the property of $500,000 with just 5% deposit. That is $25,000. And you can borrow the remaining 95%, that is $475,000 without paying any LMI. Now, I have used $500,000 just as an example, but there is a maximum property value or price cap applicable to this scheme. So, if you are buying a property in Sydney Metro or a major regional center like Newcastle, Lake Macquarie or Illawarra, then this property price cap is $900,000. And for the rest of New South Wales, this cap is at $750,000. There is also another limit that applies to this scheme. It is the maximum income cap. That means if you are buying individually, your maximum income must not be over $125,000. And if you are buying jointly, then your joint income must not be more than $200,000. Under this scheme, you can buy the property individually or jointly with a partner. And the partner can be anyone. Your fiance, your spouse, your friend, your sibling, parent, child, your cousin, does not matter who, as long as they fit into the same criteria of first home buyer. However, be careful and make sure that you get the legal advice, because there are two types of ownership when you buy a property with someone. There is joint tenancy, where if one joint tenant dies, their share automatically transfers to the surviving tenant regardless of their will. And then there is tenants in common, where shares are transferred according to a will or probate with no automatic transfer to the surviving tenants. Please note that individuals cannot apply directly through the government for this scheme. To take the advantage of this scheme, applications must be submitted via the participating lenders approved by the Australian government. And you must apply for the spot and get the pre-approval, as the spots are reserved upon pre-approval, and there are only a limited number of spots available under this scheme. An expert and vigilant mortgage broker like Ruben Sohana of 𝗙 Finance would know which lender has spots left under this scheme and what is your borrowing capacity with those particular lenders. Because remember, your borrowing capacity and acceptance of the income may vary from lender to lender. You can contact Ruben Sohana and his team at 𝗙 Finance to check your eligibility, discuss the qualifying criteria, and apply for the spot and pre-approval. Meetings can be conveniently conducted online from the comfort of your own home at a time that suits you best. Now, the next benefit that is available for the first home buyers is stamp duty or transfer duty exemption. Stamp duty or transfer duty is basically a fee that you pay to the Revenue Department to transfer and register the property in your name. Now, under this scheme, if the first home buyer is buying a house under $800,000, then you are completely exempt from stamp duty. And if you're buying a house between $800,000 to $1 million, then you get a concession on your stamp duty charges. However, as you go from the $800,000 mark to the $1 million mark, your concession starts reducing. For example, if you are buying a property that is worth just under $1 million, then your concession could just be a few coins. Similarly, if you are purchasing a vacant land on which you intend to build a home, then you will receive an exemption of stamp duty for land valued up to $350,000 and a concession on stamp duty for land valued between $350,000 and $450,000. So basically, to take full advantage of this scheme, the aim is to stay under or as close to $800,000 for homes or $350,000 for land. Now, please don't get too overwhelmed by too many facts and figures that I'm giving you, because I have prepared a very good cheat sheet guide with a table of all the caps and qualifying criteria and the government website links for your easy reference. Now, coming back to our scheme, in this scheme, the general qualifying criteria that we discussed in the beginning of this video still applies. However, there is one relief in the scheme, that only one of the applicants can be Australian citizen or permanent resident. Now, I would recommend checking with your conveyancer or solicitor if you qualify for this scheme or not, because in Australia there are so many different types of visas, etc. So it is always a good idea to double check. Also, in this scheme, there is no income cap. You could be earning over $1 million a year and still qualify for this scheme. The next benefit that we will talk about is a $10,000 grant that is available in New South Wales only if you are buying a brand new home or a substantially renovated home or a vacant land where you will be building a brand new house to live in. The definition of brand new is nobody should have ever lived in that property after its construction or substantial renovation till the time you are buying it. To qualify for this grant, aside from the standard eligibility requirements that we talked before, there's also a price cap. Newly built properties must not exceed the value of $600,000 and house and land packages must be under $750,000. Then there is one more scheme available, and I will only briefly talk about this as your accountant is the right person to guide you through this scheme. This is called the First Home Super Saver Scheme. Under this scheme, you can save some money in your super and redraw it to use it as a deposit in your home purchase. Again, I'm not authorized to give you tax advice because there are some tax benefits when you contribute to the super and obligations when you redraw super under this scheme, and only a qualified accountant can guide you around those. However, talking of super, I should also mention here that I am creating a full course about self-managed super fund SMSF property investment, sharing my own experience as well. So do check my socials for that announcement too. And with that, the last scheme that I will talk about today is very similar to the scheme that we talked earlier, First Home Guarantee Scheme. But this one is specifically about single parents. It is only available for single parents. It is called the Family Home Guarantee Scheme. Under this scheme, single parents or guardians can buy a home with only 2% deposit and take 98% loan. That's 98% LVR without paying LMI. The condition of being first home buyer also does not apply in this scheme. That means you may have owned a home in the past. However, the condition is that at the time of availing the scheme, you must not own any other property. So going back to our $500,000 property example, you can buy a $500,000 property with only $10,000 deposit and borrow the remaining 98%, that is $490,000, without paying LMI. Now remember, you may need to pay the stamp duty if you are not a first home buyer under this scheme. Again, $500,000 is just an example that I used, but the maximum property value or price cap applies in this scheme as well. So if you are buying a property in Sydney Metro or a major regional center like Newcastle, Lake Macquarie or Illawarra, then the cap is $900,000. And for the rest of New South Wales, this cap is at $750,000. The second cap is the maximum income limit. That means your annual income must not exceed $125,000. This scheme helps eligible single parents or single legal guardians who are single, who currently do not own a property, and are parent or guardian of at least one dependent. Again, individuals cannot apply directly through the government for this scheme. To take the advantage of this scheme, applications must be submitted via the participating lenders approved by the Australian government. You must apply for the spot and get pre-approval, because remember, the spots are reserved upon pre-approval because there are only a limited number of spots available under this scheme. Once again, fine mortgage brokers like 𝗙𝗵𝗀𝗃𝗃 of 𝗙𝗏𝗀𝗃 Finance would know which lenders have spots left under this scheme and what is your borrowing capacity with those particular lenders, as the borrowing capacity and acceptance of your income varies from lender to lender. You can contact 𝗙𝗵𝗀𝗃𝗃 and his team at 𝗙𝗏𝗀𝗃 Finance to check your eligibility, discuss qualifying criteria, and apply for spot and pre-approval. Meetings can be conveniently conducted online from the comfort of your own home at a time that suits you best. And now finally, we are at the question, the million-dollar question: how much money does someone need to buy their first home? Or what is the price or value of the property you can buy as your first home? Now, this depends on number of factors, like what grants and schemes do you qualify for? And we have talked at length about that just now. Then there are also the 5 C's. But let me talk about the main 2 C's, capital and capacity. Capital is the savings or the funds available for your deposit and other expenses. And capacity is your borrowing capacity. That means how much a lender determines you can comfortably afford to borrow. Now, there might be someone who has got great borrowing capacity but could be restricted by the capital that is available to them. Or there might be someone who has plenty of capital available but restricted by their borrowing capacity. Then you would also need to consider the value or price and the kind of property that you wish to buy. One thing that I must add here is, and this is what I have said repeatedly in my course as well, is that please do not rely on those online calculators and non-fully assessed pre-approvals. A pre-approval without the verification of income documents is really not worth even the paper that it's printed on. They are the most deceiving things that exist in the lending world. So to find out an answer to your particular situation, we recommend that you contact 𝗙𝗵𝗀𝗃𝗃 and his team at 𝗙𝗏𝗀𝗃 Finance. They are really empathy oriented and will do an assessment of your particular situation, goals, objectives, and give you an answer that is specific to your situation. You can reach out to 𝗙𝗵𝗀𝗃𝗃 and his team at 𝗙𝗏𝗀𝗃 Finance to discuss your eligibility, qualifying criteria, and apply for spot and pre-approval. Book your consultation conveniently online at @𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗃𝗏.com.au and meet from the comfort of your home at a time that suits you best. So this was all the information about the grants and schemes that are available to the first home buyers in Australia and specifically in New South Wales and Sydney. All the very best to all the first home buyers. You are not alone here in this journey. We are here for you, and professionals like 𝗙𝗵𝗀𝗃𝗃 are there to hand hold you on this journey. As mentioned in the beginning of this video, you will now also have access to a complete guide of government assistance available to first home buyers in all states and territories of Australia through our 𝗕𝗂𝘂𝗍𝒑𝒐𝗏𝗃 website under the resources tab. Plus, you will also get access to a free first home buyer course that will walk you through the step-by-step process of buying your first home. And I have also added an additional module in there that addresses the great debate of rent vesting versus buying your primary place of residence. Now, before I finish, I do want to say that I want to do a lot more advocacy for more benefits to first home buyers and assurance of home ownership for all Australian families, young and old. However, my voice will only be as strong as much as you make it by supporting it. So please do follow me on my socials, join my mailing list, and let's make a difference together. Happy home buying, and remember, knowledge is the power.